Welcome to the Maximum Edge Sports Wagering Show. My name is John Santucci. Call me Tooch. Tonight, I got David Bearman from ESPN, man. Super excited, man. You're a great follow on Twitter.
Thank you.
I love when you post your parlays. You're hitting. You got takes and picks and stuff. I love it. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Tooch.
All right. So we're going to talk a little NFL playoffs, and I'm a long-suffering Bears fan, and I see your your Dolphin stuff in the back, and we just jettisoned Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, coach and general manager of the Bears, and I always get asked, "What about Brian Flores for the Bears head coaching position?" I'd like to get your quick thoughts on.
Sure. I was actually on a show in Chicago the other day, and I was asked the same exact question. And I'll put it simply: if you want a guy who's going to win, which is ultimately the goal, and he's going to do the X's and O's on the field, he's right there. Here's a guy who, in his first year at Miami, took a team that was supposedly tanking, who lost their first 7 games and wound up with 5 wins. When I'm not sure, any great coach could have gotten 5 wins out of that team. And then he followed up with 2 winning seasons, won 10 games 2 years ago. And then this year started 1-7, one added the last 9 games and wound up finishing with a winning record. So I think as a coach, he's a good field general and he's someone who gets the most out of his players. I can't talk too much about what it's like to how he plays well in the sandbox or not, because obviously there were issues in Miami when it came to him getting along with either the quarterback in Tua or the GM and Chris Greer and or the owner, Stephen Ross. So it all depends on what the Bears are looking for. If the Bears are able to control the narrative as to who's in control of what and the power struggle, then Brian Flores is a good guy for your team. Evidently, there was a power struggle in Miami and they weren't playing very nice. So that's that. So.
Right. Remarkable couple seasons there with the Dolphins, defensive-minded coach, which, Chicago fans love. And Brian Flores had a little reputation maybe of a micromanager from what I've heard, but attention to detail, that's important for a head coach.
Hey, he had 2 defenses that were in the top 10 in back-to-back years, so he gets the job done. You worry about the offensive side of things, where if you are a defensive guy, you need to bring in strong offensive coaching. He had 4 coordinators in 3 years, and none of them really amounted to anything. So you have to get someone on the offensive side of the ball if you're going to hire for Brian Flores.
Right, and that's the concern here in Chicago, is what sort of offensive personnel can coaching staff will he put together for the Bears, who have high hopes for Justin Fields, their first round draft pick this past draft. So let's talk a little bit about NFL playoffs.
Yep.
I had said it was going to be favorites win and cover. That's pretty much what happened, except for in Dallas. And your takeaways from the NFL this past weekend playoffs.
I think you got to look at it as the NFL added that extra wild card team, so now 7 make it in each conference. So instead of having the top 2 teams having a bye and having the 4 other teams play off to join the other 2 in the conference semis, you have a situation where only 1 team has a bye and your second strongest team is playing the new team that's in the 7th seed, who may or may not have deserved to be in previous years. And you had a situation where both 7 seeds, ironically, both from the state of Pennsylvania, and the Steelers and the Eagles, weren't much of a match for Kansas City and or Tampa. And so you got the predicted blowouts because of the fact that more teams are now in the playoffs. And Tooch, there will be a year where the 7 seed does upset a 2 seed. It will happen one day. But you also don't see it happen very often in the NBA. 8 seeds don't necessarily beat 1 seeds in that sport as well. So you're looking at adding the teams for more money and more television rights and more games. And we had the Super Wild Card weekend, but you also had a whole bunch of blowouts. I do not expect that this weekend. I think the only game that surprised us last weekend that was a blowout was the LA-Arizona game. I don't think anybody expected Arizona to show up and put up a dud. But I think you're going to have a couple of really, really close games and great games this weekend.
Oh, that's a great point, man. I'll tell you, the playoffs, this watered down. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh probably shouldn't have been there. They were the 2 weakest teams. They got set packing. I was all over the Rams. In fact, Anthony and I talked about it on our show last time, and we couldn't believe they were only 3.5-point favorites. And it turned out to be the case. I ended up betting Rams, but a lot of people liked 3 plus the hook for Kyler Murray and company, but without
it wasn't the game that we expected. Arizona did beat them up earlier in the year. They controlled that division for the first 14 weeks of the season, so I thought it'd be a closer game. It was LA versus Arizona the third time this year. Arizona, they played well early in the year, and the end of the year was not pretty, and that's what showed.
Yeah, they really fizzled, losing I think 4 of their last 5.
Mm-hmm.
Rams come in winning 5 of their last 7.
Yep.
While we're on the Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers a little bit banged up, man. They had a masterful defensive performance from Todd Bowles and company. Rams come in, man. Their defense also high charged after last week.
Mm-hmm.
Any thing this? I think this might be the closest of the 4 games.
I actually do like the Rams this week. What I saw last week out of them with, no secondary to speak of, their defensive line kind of dominated Arizona's offensive line, and you're going up against a Tampa offense that has a couple of injuries on that front of that line. They have no wide receivers really to speak with anymore other than Mike Evans. So without the weapons and without the offensive line, Tampa could be in trouble, and that's why I think the Rams do pull this out and then travel to Lambeau to face Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. Not that Tom Brady and Tampa couldn't win. Obviously, they're defending Super Bowl champions. I just think that the caliber of opponent that they're going up on with the Rams is vastly different than the Eagles.
Absolutely. I'm on the Rams too. It all comes down to the quarterbacks in this game. Mm-hmm. Matt Stafford can't turn the ball over, and Tom Brady really has to put the team on his shoulders. So I'm with you there. Tennessee had the week off.
They did
this last week. They're catching a red hot Cincinnati team, but they're also getting Derrick Henry back at just the right time. Do you think Henry will come out and be King Henry?
Hey, if he's healthy and he's King Henry, then that team is as good as any team out there. You have Tannehill who can get the job done. You have a hell of a coach, and you have a great defense. And Mike Vrabel is 8-0 against the spread and straight up with 9 days or more rest, and that's what he's having right here. So I think Tennessee is with Derrick Henry is another caliber of team that they were a 1 seed even without him. I do think that they're going to beat Cincinnati and host that AFC Championship game. Obviously, Buffalo, Kansas City could go either way. Buffalo beat them once this year, and if they keep playing the way they're playing, they could beat them again.
Yeah, puts in his Tennessee Titans bet. Just kidding. I'm on the Titans too. I like. You're looking at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a next year team. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, you'll have another year with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Perhaps they solidify that defense and that front offensive line a little bit better. Watch out for Cincinnati next year. And Tennessee, that defense of Tennessee, like I said, we're getting Derrick Henry back. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the Bills and Chiefs, like you touched on there for a second. They've already played this season. But Buffalo sure looks like a different team. I don't think a lot of people were on Belichick. Belichick getting points. Didn't matter. Leslie Frazier's defense in Buffalo, put a stop to anything Josh McDaniels and company could do. Any thoughts on Chiefs Bills?
I actually like the Bills here. The Bills team that we have seen since halftime of the Tampa Bay game, where they were getting blown out of the water in Tampa, came back, forced overtime before losing, then went on a run at the end of the year, including beating the Patriots twice. If that Bills team shows up that we've seen for the last 3.5 weeks, I think they'll give Kansas City a run for their money. I like the Bills here, but obviously Kansas City being the 2-time defending AFC champion and having a Super Bowl title there obviously is more than capable of winning it. But the thing is with Kansas City, Tooch, is they go into modes where they just play like crap, like they did in the first quarter versus Pittsburgh. Yeah. You do that against Josh Allen in Buffalo and you're down 14-0. So absolutely. I do like the over in that game. Looks like I like the under in the Tampa game. But I actually am going to play both dogs. I'm going to play LA and I'm going to play Buffalo.
Right. I'm with you on Buffalo. The Chiefs, they don't have the defense Buffalo has. Right. Tyreek Hill's a little banged up. He's the guy they count on to stretch the field and roll Travis Kelce underneath. And then, of course, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's also banged up. They're relying on Jarrett McKinnon, who's been good.
Yep.
Other than that, they don't have a lot. The Bills have got some weapons. Devin Singletary's running the ball a lot better. But, man, they have a good offensive line.
Yep.
They got Josh Allen, who's willing to take a lot of chances, just like Mahomes. This is a 54-point total. Last time, 58 points, Buffalo rolled into Kansas City and won by 18. Any thoughts on the total?
I actually lean towards the over here because I think you have two explosive offenses, and all due respect to the defenses, which have shown up very much at times. You saw Buffalo show up last week versus New England, and Kansas City had about a 6-week run where they had the best defense in football. I just think when it comes down to it, they're two explosive offenses, and I'm looking in the neighborhood of a 31-28 type game, so I'm going to take the over in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I just think that Buffalo Bills have the best defense in the NFL, hands down. I mean, they're number one. The Chiefs are probably, middle of the pack towards the bottom, 20 something. And like you said, they had a stretch where they played pretty darn good defense. Beginning of the year, you could run all over Kansas City. But I'm with your defense. I think this time of the year, the better defense is going to give you that edge that you need. I'm also on the Bills. And then the last game, of course, San Francisco at Green Bay. That's Saturday evening game. Jimmy Garoppolo rolling into Lambeau. Man, if you give me Aaron Rodgers over Jimmy G. I know Jimmy G is a Chicago kid too, and I hate to knock him, I'll take Aaron Rodgers, 7 days a week.
I do like Green Bay here. I've been on Green Bay all year from the very, very beginning. I thought this is exactly what would happen. And I not that San Francisco isn't a good team. You saw last week how they beat up on Dallas. I just think Green Bay's better. They're rested. They have more weapons. And should San Francisco win, they'd have to control the clock with the run game and play solid defense. But, this team's on a mission. I like Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
I do too. I hate to say it as a Bears fan. Those words kind of stick in there and burn me up in my mouth. But the San Francisco, of course, they've got a great defense, but the defense got a little two key injuries. You've got Fred Warner's ankle, arguably one of the best middle linebackers, if not the best middle linebacker in the game, and Joey Bosa, one of their better pass rushers in concussion protocol. Those two guys, key parts of that good defense for San Francisco. We know San Francisco can run the ball. Green Bay is underrated too. They can run the ball. They've got two good running backs, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. And then you've got Devontae Adams who can match up, and produce just as much as Debo.
Yep.
And then the tight end, you've got Kittle. I don't think they threw him a pass last game, so they gotta be scheming to get him in this one,
right?
Just to have a chance. But Jimmy Garoppolo, I think a Jimmy Garoppolo mistake might cost San Francisco this game. And then so we're looking at Green Bay versus the Rams, the NFC Championship. I think we're both agreed on that, and the Bills versus the Titans.
Yeah, and I'm sticking to my preseason prediction. I have Green Bay and Buffalo playing in the Super Bowl, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not going to jump off of it, and I think that's actually what's going to happen.
Excellent. All right, now I promise I wanted to ask you a little bit about mobile sports gambling because that's really what caught me. I live in Iowa, and the last was it January 1st, 2021, about a year ago, and a couple weeks, got into mobile sports gambling. The Super Bowl, playoffs, NFL, and then right into college basketball, and really caught the fever. And started the podcast with Anthony on Pounded Sports and Wise Guys Wager. And I wanted to ask you what's your favorite mobile sports app?
Well, I'm not going to go favorite just because ESPN has a deal with Caesars, and so Caesars is going to be the answer. But Caesars is not in Connecticut. In Connecticut, we have FanDuel, DraftKings, and Sugar House, Rush Street Interactive. Okay. All three are pretty solid. They're all different for various reasons. All three are good to use and a lot better than using a local bookie and or an overseas illegal account. Right. So I'm happy that all three are here. And when I go to Jersey, I kind of use them all: Caesars, MGM, PointsBet, etc. So not going to play favorites. Can't do that. But I am happy with all three that are here right now.
Very cool. I have both DraftKings and FanDuel. And I love the FanDuel same game parlay. Same game parlay, and I think DraftKings soon saw how popular that was, followed suit and grabbed it. And then the profit boosts on DraftKings, I really am a fan of.
Are pretty
all
good
that stuff. And with mobile sports gambling, a lot of people are more into whether it be watching sports, putting a couple bucks down on the game, and playing on their mobile sports app. My mom has DraftKings. It's like that's how popular it is. Any thoughts on how popular it is and where you see it going next?
I think that the next step is in-game wagering. I think in-game wagering, once the technology catches up, is going to be huge for this country. You can do it now, but it's, the technology is not really there. Some of the apps have it, some don't. I think as we move forward, in-game wagering is going to get bigger and bigger.
All right. Well, Dave, I want to thank you for your time, for lending your time to us, and hope to have you back soon again. That was fun, man.
Sure. Yeah, let me know. Right. We'll catch up after football season.
All right. Excellent, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tooch. Have a good one.
You too.
And I'm the team captain. He's the preview, and I'm the main attraction.
Unstoppable, unconquerable, on top of the world, accomplishing the impossible. Unstoppable, unconquerable, on top of the world, accomplishing the impossible.
Invincible hustle, mighty desire to conspire, to transpire, to be high.